Have you ever had someone leave and it just left you feeling completely confused, maybe even a little humiliated? Like, what did I miss? Well, if that's you, this is for you. We're going to break down exactly why people who leave so often find themselves circling right back. And it's not because you were wishing for it, it's because of a fundamental truth they can only learn in your absence. And it all starts with an idea that might just change how you see the entire situation. This right here, this is the key. This one line from our source material completely resets the narrative. It's not about you being wrong or not good enough. It's about the fact that some people just can't recognize something rare when it's right there in front of them. So your value wasn't missed. No way. It was just misunderstood, way ahead of its time. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, the moment they left. I know it probably felt like a direct hit, a total rejection of who you are. But what if it wasn't about you at all? What if it was actually just a profound misreading of what you brought to the table? This slide just nails the central mistake they made. I mean, look at these words. They took the beautiful comfort of familiarity and called it boredom. They saw your incredible stability not as a rock, not as a strength, but as some kind of weakness. And the peace you offered, to them, that just looked like stagnation. You see, they didn't leave because you were lacking anything. They left because they were reading the math completely upside down. But here's the real kicker. They thought they were on a one-way track to something new and exciting. But in reality, their path was never a straight line. It was always a loop, designed to bring them right back to the very lesson they were trying to run from. So that grand escape, it wasn't an escape at all. It was just a delay. Okay, so what happens next? Well, right after they leave, they probably feel this rush, this feeling of lightness, of excitement, and this is what our source material calls the great illusion of freedom. It feels real, but it's built on nothing. Okay, so check this out. This slide shows the huge gap between what they thought was happening and what was actually going on. On the left, you've got the myth, right? They felt lighter, they thought they were making progress, they felt all this excitement. But look at the right side, that's the truth. That lightness was just thinner connections. That progress was really just delaying a lesson. And all that excitement, just stimulation without substance. The feeling was real for sure, but the foundation was pure sand. And that's the whole problem, isn't it? This high they're on is incredibly fragile. It's like a house of cards. The second life actually happens, real stress, a conflict, a moment where they actually need support, those shallow, shiny new connections just, poof, they collapse. The illusion of freedom shatters, and that's when reality starts to creep in. And this is the real turning point. As their new world starts to feel wobbly and unstable, something much deeper starts to stir. They begin to feel your absence not just in their mind, but physically. Why? Because you didn't just leave behind a memory, you left an imprint. Let's really break this down. An emotional imprint isn't a thought. It's a feeling deep in the body. It's the nervous system's physical memory of what safety feels like. So while their brain made a conscious decision to go, their body remembers what it felt like to be balanced, to be regulated with you, and you just can't reason your way out of that kind of deep physical wiring. Now, this isn't just them missing you in a romantic way. The source calls it regulation withdrawal, and it shows up with real physical symptoms. A sudden tightness in their chest, a restlessness they just can't shake, this subtle nagging anxiety that they can't even trace back to a source. It's that feeling that the whole world just got a little bit colder. Their body is literally searching for the equilibrium that you provided. So while their body is sending out all these alarm bells, their mind is starting a totally different journey. Their ego, the part of them that confidently promised that freedom and something better was just around the corner, it starts to quietly collapse under the weight of this new reality. Regret doesn't just show up one day and knock on the door. It creeps in. As you can see here, it starts with step 1, confusion. Just this quiet little feeling that something's not right. That leads to step 2, curiosity. Maybe they start looking at old photos, rereading old messages. Then comes step 3, nostalgia, where their brain conveniently only replays the highlight reel. And that nostalgia feels step 4, comparison, where every new person just falls short. And all of that leads to the final heavy domino, the realization. What they had, what they left, it wasn't replaceable. I absolutely love this metaphor from the source. Your silence doesn't create the regret, but man, it gives it the space it needs to grow. It's like a debt that gets bigger every single day. And every moment they experience that instability out in the world, every time a new connection fails them, the interest compounds. Your absence becomes the very thing that fuels the fire. And this is so, so crucial. You didn't just exist in their life. You set the bar. You became the standard. So now every new person they meet is being unconsciously measured against the safety and stability you provided. It's a silent competition that these new people can't even win, simply because what you offered was real and it was rare. So all of this brings us to the final and honestly, the most important part of this whole story. Understanding all this isn't about waiting by the phone for them to come back. No, it's about shifting the focus to where the real victory has been all along, with you. Look, and it's a big if they do reach out, don't expect some grand heroic gesture. A genuine return is powered by humility, not by pride. By the time they come back, that ego that walked them out the door has been shattered by experience. They're going to feel exposed, they're going to feel afraid, which is why that approach is almost always quiet, cautious, and super hesitant. And this is the idea I really want you to hold on to for your own healing. When you were there, your value might have been taken for granted just because it was constant. But your absence put a giant spotlight on it. It forced a comparison that could only happen once you were gone. Distance didn't make you forgettable, it made you undeniable. So let's try on the ultimate reframe. What if you saw this entire experience not as a moment where you were abandoned, but as a moment you were released? You were released from the job of having to convince someone of your worth. You were released so that you could rise, and so that life itself could teach them the lesson that you never could. So let's end on this thought, because it's everything. Please, do not measure your healing by whether or not they come back. That was never, ever the prize. The real victory, the true reward, is your own growth in their absence. It's the dignity you chose, the clarity you gained, and the peace you started building for yourself. That is the reward.